readers. I would like to thank you all for joining us for this closing ceremony for the City Reader Summer Program. My name is Makia, and I was the coordinator for this wonderful program. We have a great closing ceremony planned for you today, featuring a very special guest speaker. First, I would like to ask Mr. Shalil Tillman, who is a City Reader, to come before us and introduce our welcome. I'm sorry, did I confuse the names? I'm sorry.
Well, there's a name mix-up. My name is Shamar Hutchinson, by the way. I've been in City Readers since this program has started, so it's been going on my 3rd year now. And before I started this program, I didn't really catch myself reading as much. But since I've started, I catch myself reading more things such as articles, a couple books from here and there, do my thing. But now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Cambon. She is a retired teacher and a current Columbus City School Council board member. And she is an advocate for reading. She is extremely excited to be here. So I'd like everybody to give a round of applause for Hanifa Cambon.
Thank you, Shamar. Good afternoon, and I do want to thank the parents as well as guardians and supporters and all of our community individuals that have come here this afternoon. Let me give you a short history about the program. It was somewhere around 2011, and I had gone to a conference, a national conference, and I saw a couple of mayors were in the audience, as well as some other individuals, and they were talking about some initiatives in their city. So I said, I'm going to go back and talk to my mayor as well. So I come back and I asked for a meeting with Mayor Michael Coleman. And I said, Mayor, I just left a conference and they were talking about all these initiatives and I have an idea. And he said, oh boy, what idea do you have, Ms. Cambon? And I said, I would like for us to have an impact or make a positive impact on the graduation rate of our male population. I would like for us to increase the achievement of not only African American males, but also white males as well as Hispanic males. And he said, what's your idea? And I said, let's start a summer reading program that possibly we could carry all year round, and let's call it Mike's Readers. He said, that's a good idea. What do you need? Well, of course, the first thing that rolled out of my mouth happens to begin with a D and end with an S, and it's dollars. I said I probably would need some staff members if you could loan them to us for a short period of time. He said yes to both of those, and I'm awfully grateful that a mayor chose to collaborate with readers. Let's give him a round of applause for doing that. Even shared with him some of the data that was relative to the graduation rate of our males. Yes, there are other problems and challenges that may deal with the other gender, but I was particularly concerned about our males. At that point, the data that I shared with the mayor said that 62% of our males were graduating, of course, as opposed to 100. And whatever impact we could make on that, I wanted to do it. And mind you, Mayor, I wanted to do it early. I didn't want to wait until they were seniors, didn't want to wait until they were juniors, did not want to wait until they were sophomores. And now, a new initiative that we're partnering with, we're even going to get down to preschool. So I am awfully thankful that you all are here. I wanted to give you a little bit of history about the program and tell you what we do. Not only did we want the males to read, but we wanted to have discussions. And we wanted those discussions to be with males. Ms. Cambon probably would have had them doing a number of things as a teacher that may not have enriched their spirits, that may not have increased their reading. So between 2011 and to date, we've had over 21 mentor men that have taken their time on Saturdays on Saturdays, Mr. Haygood, to come out and have discussions with our young men. And I'd like for, if there are any mentors, any other volunteer staff, so that we don't forget you, because we could not have done this, Mayor, without them. Would you please stand? My volunteers, my mentors, my volunteer teachers. Thank you so very much, and we could not have done that without them. So what they would do is we would give them the book, and we would give them assignments and have them go home, read the assignments along with discussion questions. And then our mentors would come back, and they would get in groups of 6 to 8 and discuss the book. Well, this year I took it a step forward. I also pulled out some vocabulary words, okay? Because it is key that you understand the words that you're reading so that you can transfer those into your school year, and then, of course, increase your capacity for reading as well as your vocabulary. So I gave them words as the teacher in me: temporary, inconsistency, acknowledge, pensions, that's a cute word, gleaming, somber, sacrifice, accommodations, and trepidation. Those were some of the words that we challenged our young men. Again, as you can see, we just wanted to taste their palate, if you will, about the importance of having year-round education. And as of this date, we think that we've done a phenomenal job in doing that. Before I take my seat and have Makia introduce the next group, I would like to recognize a couple. I don't know if both of them are here. Yeah, a couple that took it upon themselves. They don't have children this age, but they took it upon themselves to bring some Hispanic young men from their community voluntarily every Saturday. Would you please stand up? Okay, there they are, right there. Thank you. Them to stand up, just not because there weren't other parents and other people that brought children, but they didn't have any children of age. And when Makia contacted them, they said, sure. And they went in their community, their neighborhood, and they were able to get volunteer young men. Because we don't want it to stop at the end of today. We don't want it to stop at the end of the summer, but we want them to have that energy, to have that zeal to continue on. I believe Makia may speak a little bit to the book that we read this summer that I would encourage all of you to go out and buy, and it's called The Other Wes Moore. And it's about a young man, if I can just give a quick commercial, a young man, his name is Wes Moore, and he grew up in Baltimore. And he went on through high school and went on to the military, and then he went on to one of the Ivy League schools. Well, a couple of blocks over, there was another young man by the name of Wes Moore, and he took another path. He committed murder in that same neighborhood. And the former Wes Moore was so amazed by someone with the same name that grew up just a couple of blocks over, how they could have very similar backgrounds and then one of them take another turn. And so the book talks about the two journeys of these young men. The first Wes Moore that I introduced to you reached out to the young man that's in prison, and they've created a long-term relationship. One of the students today is going to read you one of the essays. And in closing, just let me say that it wasn't just about reading. Students had to write an essay about the book or the books that they read. So it wasn't just joyful, it was also asking the parents to do some proofreading, and at the end of the day, we hope that our young scholars, and if they'll stand up and turn around, young men, I like this whole row to stand up and turn around and show them the title of your shirt. We chose Gifted, okay? Thank you, City Readers, okay? And you can ask them why they're wearing that T-shirt a little later. Thank you so much, and thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Ms. Cambon. As she mentioned, we not only focused on reading and literacy skills this summer, we also focused on writing skills. One of our city readers, Richard Wright, will come before us and share an excerpt from his essay.
Hello, okay. My name is Richard Wright, and I am in the 8th grade. I want to share a portion of my essay based off the book The Other Westmore. Another topic sentence for this book is to always try your best when you are given an opportunity. In this book, a quote is used by Samuel Beckett. It says, "Try again, fall again, fail better. Falling does not make us a failure, but not trying to do better, to be better, does make us fools." The significance of this quote is that even though you fail at something, it doesn't make you a failure. Falling because you didn't try your best makes you a failure. I can relate. Sometimes when I play my friends in NCAA 13, I don't even try because I know that I'm going to lose. But that's when I realized that I failed myself, because if I would try a lot harder, I probably could win.
Thank you for sharing a portion of your essay, Richard. Ms. Bridges, who was our English instructor this summer, was unable to join us, but she is extremely proud of how the students improved this summer. Next, we will have Daniel Walker, who will come and share with us a few of the highlights he enjoyed during this summer's program.
Hi, my name is Daniel Walker, and this is my first year as a city reader. I'm in 6th grade. I like this program because of the way that they let you talk about things that, that about the book, and how now you could discuss the things that you liked about the book. And then I like how they picked The Other Westmore, because for me, I like the book because it's enjoyable to read for me, and when I couldn't read it, I really wanted to read it. So, and then they give you other things to do, like art, acting, and I think it was like audio. I don't know what you call it, but and then the food that they made was exceptional. I liked it. So I hope this program continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. One of the things he did not mention was that the author of this book, Wes Moore, the actual author of this book, was able to have a Skype conversation with the guys on the last day. So we really enjoyed that. They prepared excellent questions, and he was able to share a lot of valuable information with them. So in addition to reading and writing, we also had an arts integration component. And with that, based off the book, The Other Westmore again, students could choose from performing arts, visual arts, music production, or video production. They could choose to do a project in response to The Other Westmore. So we have a group today that's going to share their theater production. Mr. Lawrence will now come forth and share a little information about that group.
Well, once again, it was definitely a pleasure to work within the City Readers program, working with young African-American artists and young men, especially being an artist myself. So within the theater program, what we did, not only did they read, but we gave them comprehension and how they were able to relate it to their own lives. And what the young people were able to do, they came together and created their own script, their own conversation based off of the topic. But it was really exciting for me to kind of just see the artistic expression come and grow from them. So what you're going to see today is entitled, and we're going through the process of improvisation because two of our young men were not able to be with us today, but our young man Thaddeus right here and one of our mentors, Devin, has stepped in, and the collaboration between the mentors and the youth. You will see improvisation based off of the script and the skit that they created, which is called More or Less, The Other Side of the Mirror. In this, you will see The Other Westmore, the author of the book, coming in confrontation or coming together with the imprisoned Westmore. And it's really exciting because I gotta give you a little backdrop. The author of the book is raising his son. And you're going to see how that comes together in this, the other side of the glass. Mirror, excuse me.
See, you didn't bring him again. Well, we had a long talk, and he still wasn't ready yet. Still wasn't ready yet? Come on, Wes. You know I only get 6 times a year to see this boy. And this is my son you're raising.
I understand that. But at the same time, you know, he doesn't yet feel comfortable. And I know with your situation, he still has time.
Can you believe that? Did y'all hear me? He said time. The only thing that's separating me and my son and him is time. I get to see him 6 times a year. That's time. The last time I seen him, he was 2 years old. That's time. So the only thing that I have with my son now is time. And this cell that they call a home for me. So emotionally and mentally, I'm separated by time, but physically, I'm separated by a window, this thin window that he could bring my son to, but chooses not to because of time. And back to you. You're only as close to me to being in my spot where I'm as close to you, physically. Meaning that you could be in my situation as easy as I can be in yours, but we're just separated by this thin little glass.
Let's give it up one more time for them. Once again, that was an element of improvisation where you had the concept, you had the storyline, and he was able to just flow in his own creative aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was really good. We have another special guest to share some comments with us today, City Council Member Priscilla Tyson. She is the chair of the Finance, Health and Human Services and Workforce Committees, and she is also a graduate of Eastmoor High School. Please help me welcome City Council Member Priscilla Tyson.
Good afternoon and welcome to Council Chambers. And before I begin, I need to acknowledge a number of people that are here. One, we have another school board member in the audience. We have W. Shauna Gibbs is in the room. I also want to recognize Dr. Jendo, who's in the room, Dr. Jendo, because today is the 67th anniversary of India's independence. So thank you for being here today. And last but not least, you're in City Council Chambers, and I want to recognize Council Member Herschel Craig, who is standing by the door. And so let's give them all a round of applause for being here today. We are so thankful that you're in council chambers, and I need to thank 2 people who are instrumental in making this program happen. The first person who spoke was Hanifa Kamban, and I want to thank Hanifa and the mayor for their vision in making this program work. We have great leaders in the city of Columbus, and great leaders care about each and every individual in this community. And so let's give Hanifa, School Board Member Hanifa Kamban, as well as our fabulous mayor, a round of applause for this meeting. And I also want to thank all the parents, because certainly your young people would not be here today without your support. So I always want to thank the parents and the support team for young people, as well as I need to thank the mentors who've already stood up and the volunteers. Thank you for working on a weekly basis to help these young people to move forward in their lives and their successful careers. And I also, and last but not least, want to thank our speaker for today, Mr. Will Haygood, who is a former resident of the city of Columbus. Columbus is his home, and certainly you'll hear from him, and the mayor will introduce him, and you'll hear all the great works and the great things he's done as an individual for our community. So let's welcome him again. Thank you. To our City Reader graduates, just congratulations to you. You are our future leaders, and the investment you made this summer will prepare you for your future of success. The books you have read are filled with many positives that you can take away with you forever. You read the book, The Other Westmore, which talks about the importance of making good decisions and how choices will affect our destinies. In the past, you've read books like The Pact, which shows that having friends around you to motivate and inspire you, that is always important. Tyrese Gibson's book, How to Get Out of Your Life, How to Get Out of Your Own Way, which deals with removing things out of your life which do not make you a better person. You've also read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, which talks about being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, putting first things first, always having a win-win attitude, seeking first to understand, then to be understood, also positive teamwork, and lastly, sharpening the saw, which means always continue to read, always continue to learn. And then you've also read the magazine with LeBron James and Sports Illustrated. Each of these books contain stories that keep you moving forward. So as you continue your positive reading on your path to leadership, remember the positive attributes that you have learned, apply them in all your future lessons in life. So again, congratulations to you, and I look forward to seeing you as leaders in our community as you continue to grow. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, for those inspiring remarks. Now we will have an introduction of our mayor by Shalil Tillman. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shalil Tillman, and I have been a part of the City Reader program for 3 years now. Reading is something I've always enjoyed, but when I was told I would be reading in front of a group of other young men, I became extremely nervous. Once the program began and the reading started, I realized I had nothing to be concerned about, and I am now proud to say that this program has inspired me and helped me to become a better reader. I would now like to introduce you the Mayor of Columbus. This is his 14th year leading Columbus and encouraging young men to be the great men that we can be to help this nation. Please help me in welcoming Mayor Michael B. Coleman.
Thank you very much for that very fine introduction. I am so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to see all of you here, because I love to read. Reading is a very integral and important part of my life and has been for a very long time. The first book I read was Green Eggs and Ham. And that was a gift from my first grade teacher to me to read. And I've been reading ever since. And my favorite book, my most favorite book of all time, I've read a lot of books over the years, is a book by the name of King of the Cats. And King of the Cats was written by Will Haygood, who's sitting right here. And Will Haygood also wrote a story in a newspaper in the Washington Post about a guy by the name of Eugene Allen. And Eugene Allen was a butler in the White House. And that story, where he found Eugene Allen, who was a butler in the White House over 8 presidents, over a period of decades, turned into a movie. And that movie was premiered in Columbus just last night. And it all started with Will Haygood, who's here today. And so we're so honored to have Will here because he's a busy man right now. He's traveling all over the nation, all over the country, talking about The Butler, the movie and the story. And he's going to give us some of his precious time today to talk to you. And you know, it's so special because Will was born in the city of Columbus and was born in the year 1954, the same year I was born in, and the same year that Thurgood Marshall, through his lawyering skills, overturned segregation in America in a case called Brown versus Board of Education. And in that year was the first year that the court struck down segregation nationally to allow African American children to be integrated into society and the educational system. And so here we are, that many years later, not that long ago. I know for you it's a long time ago. For us, hopefully we got some few years left. And Will was born, educated, and raised in the city of Columbus. He has written numerous books. He decided to become a journalist. Now, I'd love to hear that story a little bit today, but I know it had a lot to do about reading. It had to have a lot to do about his ability to read and imagine and engage, to escape and totally engage in a situation. And he has come a long way, to the point now where Will Haygood is considered the best writer in America. And he's here with us today. And he has never forgotten where he comes from. And that's why he's here talking to you today. He knows and loves this city. And we're glad to have him here to share some of his comments. I want to invite Will up, a great man, a great writer, and a great friend of mine, and a great friend of the citizens of Columbus. Will Haygood. Thank you.
Well, thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank Councilwoman Tyson and Councilman Craig for being here. Your mayor is a special man. They know him in the capitals of Europe. They know him in the White House. And they certainly know him in the pages of the Washington Post because I've written about him there. And congratulations to the City Readers graduates. What you have done is phenomenal in its own way. When I was a kid at Wyland Park, right here on the city's north side, I would go to Paris. I would go to Switzerland. I would go to Zimbabwe. I would go to San Francisco. People would want to know, Will, is your dad in the Army? No, no, no. Dad didn't even live under my roof. I went to those places at the library. A book got me to Paris before I literally got to Paris with a journalism press card in my wallet. A book got me to Zimbabwe before I became a foreign correspondent at the Boston Globe. A book got me to Switzerland before I took a vacation there as a journalist who had been captured in Somalia. I called the editor. I was tired. People had been shooting at me. He said, take a little time off, Will, before you come back to the States. I said, I've never been to Switzerland. So all these places in my mind, I was able to go to via books. And here's something else that's really significant about books. I've been a foreign correspondent, and I've covered civil wars all over the world: Liberia, Somalia, Kenya, religious strife in the mountains of India. It's heartbreaking when a dictator invades a village. The first thing he does is call people out and says to them, bring your books out here. And they start a bonfire and they burn the books right in the center of the village, because they want people to know that knowledge, of course, is freedom. And if you have too much freedom and too much willpower, you dilute the effectiveness of the dictator. And I have entered villages. This is someone who loves books as much as you do. And I have entered villages, and the elder would carry me to the heap of ashes. And he would say, here's what they did to my people. They burned our books. That civilization that gets burned. Some of these books are irreplaceable. They are sacred as can be. So you have to realize when you're walking around, or you're on the city bus, or you're in the backyard under a tree and you're reading a book, you are replacing that book that got burnt in that ash pile. You are helping uplift civilization. And it is very important what you do. I stand before you for no other reason than I had 35 cents that my grandmother gave me, and I came downtown on Grant Street to the library every Saturday morning without fail. It was the joy of my week. Oh, I'm going to the library Saturday. It was the joy of my week. It was a singular sensation. And never underestimate that. I would not have made it to the Column Post, to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, to the Boston Globe, to the Washington Post, if it were not for the books that I read under the blue skies in this city right here. Something else that I think is very, very, very important. When you read, it becomes a fortress against the eventual things that will happen to you, because all of the great writers in life, and I'm not going to put myself in their hemisphere, although I do appreciate and love what the mayor said about me. But all of the writers who I have admired in life, Richard Wright, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, John Cheever, all of these people suffered failures that took them to the bottom of their very being. Langston Hughes' father didn't want anything to do with him. F. Scott Fitzgerald had a problem with drinking. Ernest Hemingway's father shot himself in the head. Years later, Ernest Hemingway himself committed suicide. These are all the roots of a writer's, you might say, past history. And sometimes those historic moments, they become like demons. Myself, when I was your age, I marvel at the fact that the 2 or 3 speakers who we had, that you were able to come up here and speak into a microphone. If someone would have asked me that when I was, how old are you, 10, 11, 12, 13? If someone would have asked me that when I was 10, 11, 12, I would have run from the room. I would have just fled. I mean, I just could not have done it. And I'm being honest. I mean, now I speak all over the place, but back then I did not have the confidence that you have now. And I marvel. I genuinely marvel at that because it is an amazing thing. In my life, there have been as many failures as there have been so-called successes. I graduated from college, summa cum lucky. I barely got out the door. I mean, I barely got in, but I barely got out the door. I went to New York City. I got a job at Macy's department store. I was a low-level manager. My mother in Columbus, Ohio, was telling people, my boy's running Macy's. I had a briefcase, suit and tie, and everything. One day I came into work after about a year and a half, and the manager called me into her room and said, it's not working out. I said, hey, no problem. I'll work a little harder. I'll show up a little earlier. She said, no, I don't think you get what I'm trying to say. Your job will not be here only for about 4 more weeks. You have to go and find something else to do. Retelling is not in your blood. I was fired from Macy's department store in New York City. Now I walk by Macy's and say, hey. But back in the day, Macy's broke my heart. But you learn from those things because the person who fired me said, now it's time to really look inside of Will Haygood and find out what it is you want to do. And the best joy of my life was when I walked out of a little house at 109 Hamilton Avenue in Columbus, Ohio, home of the Columbus Call-and-Post newspaper, and went downtown every day, right to this building, to write about city councilmen, city councilwomen, the laws they were passing, the good they were trying to do. I covered the mayor. We never had a mayor like this, but I covered the mayor and legislation and school board meetings. And when it was time to grapple with my life and look back at the age of 25 and find out what I really wanted to do, I said, I want to get back to writing because I never had as much joy as I did when I was a rookie reporter at the Columbus Call-and-Post newspaper. So it's very, very, very remarkable that you now, at this age, have a love for books, that someone doesn't have to grab you and screaming to get you to crack open a book. Too many of my friends who I was with in high school or junior high school write me letters, and it has a serial number behind their name. So that means they're incarcerated. All of a sudden, they become interested in books. Hey, Will, I heard you was working for the Washington Post, man. Remember me, Jerry? Back, we lived in the North Side together. Well, I got an idea for a book. Well, that's all good and well, and I always try to write encouraging letters. But your art will flow better when you have a free mind. It just will. There is no need for anybody, any of you, to think that there's going to be something that will teach you on the dark side of the tracks out there in society. I think that's what Mr. Wes Moore was trying to explain in the book that you all have read. In closing, let me just say this. I've been fortunate enough to make a movie. It's called Lee Daniels' The Butler. It stars people like Oprah Winfrey, Forrest Whitaker, John Cusack, Cuba Gooding, Terrence Howard, Jane Fonda, Vanessa Redgrave. 6 Oscar winners are in this movie. And I dare say I never would have gotten to the point of making or being part of a movie if I had not at some point in my young life in this city right here picked up a book and was receptive to being encouraged by all of the teachers who wanted me to read. I travel everywhere. I travel a lot on planes and trains. I always have a book under the crook of my arm. And so I salute you. I honor you, and I'm so, so, so happy to have met you. This is the start of my tour on the movie and the book, and I have no doubt that this will be, in my memory, a highlight of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Haygood, for those inspiring remarks. We will now present a certificate from the mayor to our city readers that are here today, as well as a copy of Mr. Haygood's book, The Butler, and also a book that we like to give to all of our graduates, which is called 50 Things Every Young Gentleman Should Know. So, city readers, if you could make your way forward when I call your name, I would appreciate it. Sure.
How many?
13 to here today.
How many total?
70.
Okay. So, just real quickly, this book you're going to receive here, The Butler, was written by Will Haygood, and he's going to sign it for each and every one of you. An autograph book on The Butler, and I want you to read every page of this book. And you'll love it, because in this book, although it talks about the butler, there are references about Columbus as well. 2 or 3 references. And you need to find those pages and read those as well. All right?
Here's a nice pen.
Here, just take this one. Okay.
Thank you.
Here's a better one. This is a mayor's. It's a better one.
Ms. Cameron, can you go on this side and hand those books here? And they're going to come this way. Yes. City readers, start this way with Ms. Cambon, please. The first city reader is Deontay Bowie. And then there.
Me so I can sign the book just as they're coming out.
That's what I wanted to. That's what I.
Is it coming this way?
Yeah, who's the person? You tell her.
Tell her the name. What's his name?
That's Deontay.
Deontay.
Spell your name, Deontay. The next city reader is Devontae Bowie. Devontae, start down there, please. Thank you. Michael Dunlap. Thomas Featherstone. Thomas isn't here. Quentin Jones. Thaddeus Jones. Mike Martinez. Ernesto Monteo. Lozero Monteo. Amari Short. Amari Simmons. Daniel Walker. Richard Wright. To Shalil Tillman. I don't have certificates for them. Shamar Hutchinson. And last but not least, Bryce Johnson. Let's celebrate all of our city readers, parents, mentors, and community members. Again, we would like to thank everyone for coming to support the city readers today. And again, we'd like to thank not only the city readers, but their parents and the mentors and everyone in the community for supporting this summer program. Thank you so much.